Hi guys, welcome. Okay, so I tried to do this video a couple of times, and I come off a little bit harsh in the video, and I don't like to be like that. But my friend always says um, that that's my Italian coming out when I get a little feisty. Anyway, so a couple of things I wanted to address. First of all, okay, let's start off first with the tarot readings, because we got a lot of new people that have just joined, and welcome to the new people. But in case you don't know, or in case you never had tarots done before, there are a lot of questions that can't really be answered. Like timing can be very difficult, and on top of that, sorry, I'm rearranging stuff. And on top of the fact that timing can be difficult with the pandemic, which has like slowed everything down, that makes timing even more difficult. So I can't really give you, on April 1st or, by next Tuesday. It doesn't really work like that. But other questions that can be really difficult or that I can't answer would be things like, what is his karma for treating me like this? Or, where am I going to meet my husband? How many children am I going to have? That kind of stuff. First of all, not everybody gets married, and that's okay. There are plenty of people that I know that are married and hate each other, and then there are plenty of people I know that are just in relationships and they've been together forever, and their relationships are really going very well. So, marriage doesn't equal happiness. Marriage doesn't really equal anything other than a legal document in the eyes of the state that you live in. Otherwise, it doesn't, one thing doesn't equal another. And I always tell the story of my aunt's sister. She was divorced. They got divorced. I mean, they were divorced at the time, back in my earliest memories. I don't remember meeting her husband until I was about 8 years old. But at that point, they got back together. They've been back together ever since, but they're not legally married. They live together. They've been living together for the last, I don't know how many years, but they're not legally married. So, like reading somebody like them, it would be very hard, because the answer to the question is, it's both right. It's like if it were to come up, is she married? And if the answer came up yes, it would be right, because technically they're in a married relationship, whether it's legal or not. But if the answer came up no, she's not married, that also would be right, because legally they're not married. So some questions that should have a black and white answer, even those questions can be answered black and white, because things are changeable, or things can be answered by both yes and no, which complicates things. But life's complicated. Like, that's just how it is. It's complicated, and it's really contradictory, especially when it comes down to relationships and sex too, because on one hand, sex should, it's supposed to be intimate, and it's supposed to be between two people that really love each other. But then a lot of the times, and more often than not, that's not the case. It's, sometimes people just hook up. Some people, it's not an intimate act. It's a sexual act. It's not a loving act. It's a sexual act, and to some people, I have a friend of mine that has no problem having sex with random people. She doesn't want anything more out of it. She thinks it's okay, and that's the way she lives, and she's fine with it. So, unfortunately, if you're the opposite kind of girl, you may feel somewhat threatened by her, because she honestly does not care. She doesn't care. She feels like, life is, for having a good time, and that it's, an activity like going bowling. That's the way she feels. I'm not here to tell her she's right or she's wrong, but she does have an edge up on the girl who thinks that it's supposed to be very intimate and loving, because it will hurt that person, where you can't hurt my friend. She doesn't find it hurtful. So that's the difference, okay? If that makes sense. So now moving on to like questions that always come up. There are questions I constantly get about the blocking. I blocked him. Am I going to hear from him? Okay. So when you're putting energy out into the universe, you want to put out energy that you want, right? But you don't want to hold on to the wanting feeling. You want to hold on to the feeling of already having it. So instead of feeling like I need money, you want to feel like I have money, or I always have enough, or one way or another it'll work out. I'm not going to stress about it. And you put out into the universe. Money flows flows to me effortlessly, right? And then money starts to come in. And then if you have an unexpected bill, like I had an unexpected bill last week with Dylan, and then I just kind of looked at it like, you know what? Thank God that I had the money. I paid the bill, and it's over. That's it. No big deal. Money flows to me. Money flows to me. And then if I have to pay something, well, I had the money. It's just energy, right? It's like running water. Comes in, it goes out. Comes in, it goes out. You stifle the energy if you start to hold on to something. So if you take $20 and you hold on to it and you have it in your hand, right? That's all you have is that 20. That's it. It's not going to change. If you hold a $20 bill in your hand, right, you're going to hold it there like that forever. It's never going to become $30 while it's in your hand. It's not. You're not going to lose it. It's not going to become $10. It's not going to diminish, but it's not going to ever. You're holding on to the energy of it. You're not letting it go. Whereas if you buy something for $5 and you put $5 in the bank, you give $5 to someone and you put $5 in your pocket, you've dispersed the energy of that 20, right? And now the $5 bought you something, helped somebody. You put $5 away and now more money can start to flow in. So you want to keep the energy of things flowing. I'm not telling you to go out and spend all your money, but there's like, you want to keep the energy around money flowing. So if you have a bill to pay, the idea is, oh, thank God I had the money to pay the bill. This is no big deal. Money flows to me easily. And that's how you keep it flowing. So the idea is the same around relationships. If you're putting out an energy of, I want you to come to me, right? But then you're blocking them, right? It's to make it difficult. Now you're putting out an energy that's like this. It's like hitting the gas and hitting the brake at the same time. You're going to spin around, but you're not really going to go anywhere. So that's what's happening. You're putting out this energy, I want you to call me, but you block them so they can't. So I don't know what the purpose is. I honestly don't know. I can only assume that women want these men to try harder, find another route. I don't know, go find a white horse, put on a suit of armor, get a ladder, serenade me. I don't know what it is that they want, but they're looking to complicate the situation further if they really want the person to contact them. If they're really done with the person and this person's been harassing you and stalking you and showing up at your job, that person gets blocked. That person you don't deal with anymore. But if it's someone who you still want to have around, I wouldn't block them. You can use your energy in a different way without having to block them. Like, pull your energy back, stop thinking about them, stop talking about them. You're not taking your energy off this person if you're constantly asking about them and constantly talking about them. You're just not. It's you might say that you are, but if you're constantly asking questions about someone, you have not pulled your energy back. We're talking about them. We're giving the conversation energy. So to me, rather than block them physically on the phone, which to me, I don't know, I just feel like it's very immature. Unless there's a reason, like they're harassing you or they don't leave you alone, they wake you up in the middle of the night, that kind of thing. I think it's really an immature way to conduct relationships, really. I also think that it's like respect-wise, if somebody has something to say, I feel like they should be able to say it. I feel like if somebody wants to tell you something, you should give them the decency to hear what they have to say. So I also feel that it's rude to block somebody. It's not nice. You would want, if you wanted to reach out to somebody and found that they blocked you for no reason, you wouldn't be happy with it and you would want to know when you were going to get unblocked. So why do it to somebody else? So I just don't see the need for that. With that being said, if somebody is harassing you or you really want them gone, then you block them. If you're like, listen, this guy treated me like shit for 10 years. I want nothing to do with him. I'm blocking you. I don't want you to see my shit. I don't want you to know what I'm doing. I don't want to be bothered. Then that's good. Because now the energy you're putting out into the universe is exactly what you want. There are too many times that I find that women are playing games like, well, I blocked him, and then I unblocked him, and then I unfriended him, and then I friended him again, and then I told him that he should go back with his ex, and then I told him that he should go out with his friends, and then I told him, well, maybe you like her more than me. And why are we saying all these things that we really don't mean and that we really don't want to happen? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of that? Why would you tell somebody to go back with their ex if you don't want them to go back with their ex? Why would you say that? So I asked, and this has happened to me on more than one occasion, and I asked somebody, I said, why would you do that? Oh, well, I wanted him to tell me. So right away I stopped her. I said, you cannot try to manipulate something out of somebody. Like, you can't manipulate love from somebody. You can manipulate them as a person, but you can't make them love you. You just can't. You have to be who you are, and they have to be in love with that person, and you can't manufacture it. So if you're trying to manipulate out of them something, you know, it's like, go right direct to them. Are you in love with your ex-girlfriend? No. Okay. Are you in love with me? No. Okay. Well, do you want to see if there's something can happen with me, or you have other intentions? Right there. Lay it out on the table, because you can't say, well, I'm going to tell him that this is orange because I want him to tell me it's red. Because maybe the guy is colorblind, or maybe he just doesn't care, you know, or maybe he's just not thinking, well, she's telling me it's orange so that I can correct her. Like, you don't know what somebody else is thinking. So don't try to manipulate something out of somebody. Say what you mean what you say, because life is complicated enough. So all of that now, moving forward, there's also, it's been called to my attention. I did a reading with somebody today earlier who said, something along the lines of, excuse me, it was something along the lines of, well, I know he doesn't want to be in a serious relationship, and I'm willing to give him what he wants and just hook up with him. So why is he still not coming forward? So my answer to that is, you can't find out what somebody likes and then try to be it. So, like, in other words, like, you can't call up Sully's mom and say, hey, Mrs. Sully, what kind of a girl does Sully like? And then, you know, oh, well, Sully likes a tall, thin brunette with a pixie cut and long eyelashes. And then try to mimic that and think that Sully is going to fall in love with you for that reason. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And you can talk to anybody that's been in a long-term relationship, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you that this person does not fit their usual type. Happens all the time. I worked with a woman who used to say, I love tall, dark, and handsome, and I married a short, chubby blonde. It's just how it happens, right? Because you can't manufacture something. Just like you can't create a feeling. Like, you can't, if you feel a connection to somebody, you may feel a connection to them, and it could be a legitimate connection, it could be whatever, but you can't make that up. You can't make yourself feel that way. It's either there or it's not. And it's the same thing with relationships. You can't say, well, I know he doesn't want to be with anyone serious, and I'm willing to just be his, you know, casual fling. So why isn't he at least stepping up for that? Because you're trying to be something else. You're trying to be something that you're not. So you can't be the kind of girl who wants to be in a stable, long-term relationship and say, well, but I'm okay with, just being a side piece. Like, it doesn't, you're not okay with it. It's not gelling with who you are. It's not what you want. And you're trying to please somebody else by being what you think they want you to be in order to have some type of relationship. So all of this right here is very low on the scale of vibrational frequencies, because it's not you being your authentic self. It's you pretending to be something else. So there's a lot of, you got to be careful with this kind of stuff. Like, it's one thing if you compromise on, like, what are we having for dinner tonight, Chinese or Italian? that's different. But then when you're trying to be a different person to make somebody else happy so they keep you in their life, it's not going to work. This is all manipulation. It's not true. It's not legit. It's not real. It's based on what you're thinking that they want. And you don't even know for a fact that it is what they want, but it's what you're thinking. So right away, we're entering a relationship under deception. It's deceptive. Coming in and pretending that you're okay with just being, friends with benefits when you're really not, is not going to help either one of you. And coming in with friends with benefits is not going to turn it into a relationship. He's not all of a sudden going to fall in love with you because you gave him what you thought he wanted. It just doesn't work like that. The best thing that you can do is be your authentic self and call in the people that you call in, that flock to you because of who you are, not who you pretend to be, to make them happy or to fit into their life in some type of way. Like, I'll take out the garbage for you if you just let me come over. Every day I'll take out the garbage. I'll take out the garbage. I'll do that for you. Well, I said that I would take out the garbage for him. How come he doesn't want me to come over? Because that's not the way it works. And all of these people that have this attitude of me versus her, you're already putting yourself in a victim position, and the victim doesn't win. The victim never wins. The victor wins. So you can't be looking at yourself like you're in constant competition with every other woman. And I get a lot of that. What does he think about this one? What does he think about that one? What does he think about this one? What's his relationship like with that? The person he is most attracted to is the person that cares least, because the energy around the situation is not being choked. So when you care so much and you can't stop thinking about this person, the energy is very stagnant. It's waiting for a phone call. If you can hold this phone from now until, doomsday, it's never going to ring while you're holding it, unless it's someone you don't want to speak to. But if you're waiting for a phone call and you put the phone down and you go take a shower, the phone rings while you're in the shower. It's just the way that it works. You have to release it. One of my friends uses the image of like a balloon. Like, put it in the balloon, right? Hold on to the balloon, take the balloon outside and let it go. Once you let it go and it's gotten far enough away, that's when you know it's going to come back to you. So these are just some things to think about, because repeatedly I get questions like, me or her, me or her, me or her, or, well, I told him, well, go with your friends. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You should have a good time. Go with your friends. And then it's like, oh, man, but that's not what you wanted. So why did you tell him that? Oh, well, I told him that because I wanted him to choose me. Well, did he choose you? No. He went with his friends. So why did you do that? We got to be clear. Set your intention. Be clear. I want you to be with me on Thursday night. I want you to be with me on Saturday morning. And then if he doesn't meet you where you want to be met, then he is not the right person for you, or the timing isn't there right now. You have to be okay with that. I mean, a lot of people are trying to hold on to something that they're not really getting anything out of anyway. And then they throw in this, well, he's my soulmate. And it's like, no, that's not the answer. Your soulmate would be meeting you halfway. So, it's something to think about with, asking yourself, what is it that I want from this person who has actually done nothing nice or right for me since I've met them, and they've not done the right thing by me, but yet I still want to be with that person. And then on top of that, it's like trying to manipulate the person to get the answer that you want out of them. Like, well, I told him that, I'm going to move to Timbuktu, and that's because I wanted him to tell me not to go. Well, it doesn't work like that. He doesn't know that that's what you want him to say. You've got to tell him that this is how you're feeling. You have to go right to the point. You don't leave it to a guy to try to figure it out, because women and men think very differently. They just do. And you can't expect him to know what you're thinking. He isn't. And you can't try to be the perfect woman for him, because you changing who you are to please somebody else is low vibration. It's going to push you right out of it. I mean, it is going to repel this guy so fast that he won't know what hit him. You have to be authentic to yourself. You have to be blonde hair if you like blonde hair. You have to have red hair if you like red hair. And he doesn't make the decision, you do. And that's how you get the relationship to work. If you're constantly trying to be something for somebody else, it doesn't work. It's just not going to work. And if it does, it's going to be for a very small period of time. And somebody else who's much more confident, who cares much less about him, is going to come in and take him away, because that's how energy works. So just be careful with the thoughts that are going out around the situation and the intentions. Because I get a lot of questions about what are his intentions, but what are your intentions? I intend to make myself into exactly what he wants, or I intend to manipulate him into telling me that he likes me more than anyone else. What are your intentions? Because guys, even though they may not have intentions, or they may be clueless, they're usually not real manipulating. Some are, but usually they're you kind of like what you see is what you get kind of a thing from them. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.